Hi everyone, welcome. Just want to show you how you'd like to set up before you begin with my paint along tutorials. So a few of the things you're going to need. So first of all, I'm working flat on my table, but there are a few options you have here. You can work just like this with your canvas flat on your table here. You can make yourself a little pizza box easel. I have another little video tutorial showing how to do that. Very easy. Nice way to get an easel. Okay. You can also get yourself a small tabletop easel. I think they run as low as about $15 or so, these guys. And they fold up nice and tuck away easily. So that works well as well. So lots of options there. But working right on your table is just fine. I also like to have a tablecloth to protect my table. I'm using a painting drop sheet here. So you can buy this at a paint supply store. And I think for like the biggest size I could get, 4 feet by like 12 feet or so, it was around, I want to say $20. And I can wash this and they come in handy. So good. You can also grab a little tablecloth at the dollar store. Those work great too. Easy to wipe off. Save your table. Okay, so we've got our surface to work on. We've got some canvas or some paper, whatever you're painting on today. You're going to want your palette. I like to work with 2 palettes, just to allow me to mix lots of colors and not have to worry about having to rinse out in between my painting. I like to use paper towel. So what I do is I take 3 sheets at a time usually, or maybe, you can use 2, whatever. I usually get a paper towel that's a little bit heavier weight. The blue shop towels work great too. I just fold it up and I place it beside my canvas there. And then I use that to clean my brush in between colors. You're going to want to have a glass of water. And I also like to have 2 because it can get quite dirty midway through the painting. And so it's just handy to have one to switch out to clean water midway through. You're going to want your brushes. I keep it as simple as possible. So I usually have 1 small brush and 1 medium brush. And that's all you need to do my art tutorials. Anything in similar shape and size is just fine. Whatever you have at home that you like to use is just fine. Don't need any fancy stuff here. You're going to need your paint. I use primary colors plus white. So we've got our yellow, red, and blue, and white. I've also started saving paint at the end of a painting. So whatever is left over in my palette, I scrape off and I put into this jar. And it's working really well to save my paint first off, and then to give me another gray or brown shade, depending on what it ends up being. It's kind of like a blue-gray, but you can use this in your paintings, so you may as well save it. Okay. What else do we need? Well, you're going to want to use, I've got a color guide here, which I'll include an attachment here. So I just did a color wheel and a little mixing guide here based on my acrylic paints. And I will include a filled out color wheel and guide as well as a blank one so that you can then fill out your own based on the paints you're using. And it's a great exercise. Highly recommend trying that out. It'll give you a feel for your paints and how they mix, and then it also gives you a really nice cheat sheet to grab colors easily. So, for instance, this red violet is 1, 2, 3, 4 reds plus 1 blue. That gave me that color, and then if I wanted to lighten it with white, that gives me that color. I'll do another video on this guide and how to create your own, but it's a handy little cheat sheet to have. Acrylic paints do vary from brand to brand, but like I said, if you want to fill in your own, I highly recommend that. So grab your color guide. I also include with every tutorial a reference sketch. So that's just a basic line drawing of whatever we're working on. You do not need to use the reference sketch. It's just there to help you if you like to use it, so that I can offer these classes to everybody and there's no experience required. You don't need to worry about having to draw. You just simply transfer the sketch onto the canvas, and I also have a video showing how to do that. In order to do that, you do need some chalk pastels. You just need one, and usually a mid to dark color. So you'll want some of that if you're going to be sketching from your reference photo. You can just have it off to the side as a reference and freehand paint what we're doing. Okay, but I like to include that with every painting that we do. Let's see, have I missed anything at all? Oh, a little bit of painter's tape helps to hold down your reference photo. I just buy this one at the dollar store and it works great. Okay, I think that's it. Now I'll show you how I set up my palette. If you have something similar to this, what I like to do is put my white in the middle, and then I have a certain combination here that I use. So I like to do 2 spots of white, and the reason for that is oftentimes we'll be mixing and sometimes a little bit of paint will get into that white. So I like to have 2 piles to work from. So one might get dirty, then I can go to the other one there. I always put my paints in the same spot. Something I learned in my oil painting practice was that if you put your paints in the exact same spot, you build up this kind of muscle memory, and makes it a lot easier for mixing because you automatically know where the colors are. And you can fill in the other spots there. So I wish this palette had a few more circles on it, because then we'd have just the right amount to do our color guide here, but it doesn't. So that's why I also like to work with 2 palettes. So if we had the right amount of circles, we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in between the colors. So that would be red, there. So I have 3 spots in between my colors, and that allows me to mix my orange in here and then my intermediate color. So between these 2 colors in here and between these 2 colors in here. So that's the ideal. So then I'll space this one out, 1, 2, 3, and put my blue over here. Always put your caps back on your paint so they don't dry out. These ones are cool, they snap in place. Okay, so then I've got my space to mix in here, space to mix in here. This one's shy by 2 spots, so then I'll just mix those colors over here and any other colors that I have to mix, like black or whatever the case is over on this side here. So that works out well, and just not something you have to do by any means, but it makes it easier for me. I like doing that, setting up my colors in the same spot. Okay, and now we're pretty much ready to rock and roll here. So we've got all our supplies. My tutorials are usually around 45 minutes to an hour. Some might be shorter. In future, I might do some more like practice tutorials where we're just practicing painting techniques. But for the most part, they are real time, start a painting, finish a painting, and it's typically just an hour or just under an hour. So it's a little bit of time, and luckily you can stop and start the videos whenever you like. So if you need to take a break, stop it. You can bring it up anytime, next day, whenever you want. You can watch the tutorials as many times as you like. I recommend having a good drink, some water or something beside you while you're working on it, because like I said, it can be, about an hour's time or so. So I just like to have everything all laid out and easy for me to get going. So I think that's about it to get started. And yeah, so watch the video on how to transfer images if you'd like to go that route. And that is all you need. Awesome. I will see you in the next tutorial.